Hey guys, this is Julez. Welcome to my second channel. It is Friday, May the 8th, and I have a few hours before I end up putting just like everything away and just hanging out with my kids for the rest of the night. So I wanted to just do a little get ready with me so that we can talk about a couple of things over her for a minute. There's a lot going on. There's a super lot going on. And I've sort of mentioned a couple of things, blurted out, I guess, a couple of things over on my true crime channel. So just so that you guys can sort of get an idea of maybe the subject of this little get ready with me that's coming out of nowhere, I'm going to go ahead and pop this clip in from my other channel. Who's been watching Hantavirus updates? They let people off the ship in April, and they've been back in the United States for weeks. Texas, Georgia, Virginia, California, a couple other places. And it's no longer where you have to have like prolonged contact. We now have 2 confirmed cases of people that were really just around someone for like a few hours. A flight attendant who accompanied the wife of the first person who died on the ship, she is now in the hospital. And I believe they said that down in Spain, there's a guy who went to a birthday party. Don't quote me on the country, but there's a guy that went down to a birthday party, and 5 people at that birthday party are now being quarantined. And one of them is somebody who didn't even talk to the person at the party, just like got up and walked to the bathroom and was barely around them, like had to pass by them. So yeah. There's some very sketchy shit going on. I've been watching especially this TikTok of this guy who's from the US who, like, going back into his social media, he took off of like working like years ago, like around 2021. And he's just like going on cruise ships as like a thing. And this specific one costs like $25,000, $30,000. And he has like videos from it taking off on day 1 and like him walking around the ship and like doing tours. And it is like, no one's there. Like in all the videos of his so far that I've watched on his TikTok, and I haven't watched all of them yet, there's only been one video that shows like one additional person, and it's like a black jacket and an arm. Like, where's the people? There's some shit going on, bro. There's some shit going on. Let's just go on about our life, because obviously that's what we're just meant to do. When there's missing scientists and a virus, and they're about to like tell us about aliens, and they're getting pastors together in meetings and telling them that they need to get their people together for what's coming, because they're going to have answers for their flocks. Like, there's a lot of shit going on right now. Oh. Gotta love being a human here in this place. Holy shit. Now, as of today, they've released some of this UFO stuff. And I'll have some of it up here on the screen, scrolling through as I wipe my face makeup off, because I did sleep in my makeup last night. And I don't feel like washing my face right now, so I'll just handle all of this later. There's a lot going on in way of what's being apparently posted today. I'm not religious. Most of you guys know I grew up like in this Jehovah's Witness situation, and it's just like, it's been a thing. Now, I have read the Bible. I have done a lot of research into the Bible. I've done a lot of research into the Anunnaki and the Sumerian tablets. I've done a lot of research into a lot of things in way of what the hell is really happening here, I guess is the way that you can put it. And I know that a lot of this stuff that's coming out is apparently very much the way that like biblical angels are described and like put together, when people that can go in and claim that they can accurately translate what's being said in some of these more ancient things. So that's been pretty interesting. Lots of little videos of like orbs flying through places. These things right here were such a freaking waste of money. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Just like side note, me and my dad and my boys took a trip up to Cadillac Ranch, Amarillo area, where that like famous steakhouse and stuff is too. And you just drive through a sea of these. and like 15 to 20% of them are broken. They're not turning. You can see like oil and nasty stuff like leaking down the stalk of them. And then if you get down to like Corpus Christi, which, now people want to start talking about the fact Texas is running out of water, but me and my dad have been discussing that for freaking, I don't even know, a decade now practically. But now that they're talking about Corpus Christi now like running out of water, where Corpus Christi also has a whole bunch of these and they're killing a whole bunch of the birds, messing up the whole ecosystem down there. These things are such a waste, but that's just a side note. But I will say that I did pull like the first file, and there's some documents and some like letters from like the 60s and like a whole bunch of older stuff like that. And it looks like a snowflake. Look how intricate that is. That's crazy. So maybe at some point this week coming, we'll go live maybe like once or twice over here, and we'll look through the disclosure stuff. I would also like to start taking some time over here to start going through the Epstein stuff the way that we should have been doing it. But I have to try to like figure out some of my life things here, because there's a lot that I really want to do that I have to make a decision on if I want to have time to do all of those things and the potential that that could bring, or if I want to stay where I'm at and just always guess about what I could do if I did have the extra time by not having an obligation that I hate, I guess, if that makes any sense. So we'll see. If I start going live over here a lot more, talking about like world news stuff, and you start seeing me go live over on my true crime channel a whole lot more, what in the actual shit is that? That's got to be just so fake. See, that's a whole other thing too. That's a whole other thing too, which by the way, this is the website. It's just war.gov/UFO. It's it. And I know some people are going to be like, oh my God, they're going to track you. They're going to track you in their files. They're tracking you anyway. Jesus Christ. Just chill. Chill. Just look at the damn documents. Or not. Like watch the documents through me. That's fine too. I'm totally fine with that. But some of these things, like, I'm going to be so skeptical regardless of like when it says it was created, captured, or whatever, because AI has gotten so insane to where like you cannot tell the difference unless you're really paying attention. And I used to pride myself in being able to tell, but there's been a couple of times to where like, I mean, eventually I was like, okay, yeah, I'm pretty much convinced now. But like the fact that I'm super second guessing myself now on some of these things, yeah, it's getting pretty bad. So that's another thing that needs to be considered, because the government will lie to you. Okay, the government will lie to you. Now let's talk about this virus, okay? I have been following updates and trying to get as much accurate information as possible, because I like being cautious, but I also don't like ever like overdoing things. I deal with a lot of illnesses when it comes to my kids and my pets and myself at home, because I'm not stupid. I know more natural things that can be done in order to remedy certain things. I try not to use a doctor or go to emergency services or urgent cares or anything like that as much as possible. And that is with having a child with a medical condition and still not like overdoing things just because we've had like bad experiences to where at the end of the day, it was the worst possible scenario, but you still can't like just overdo stuff. And some people say that because I'm like really cautious about who I'm around and like not really having a lot of people at all, or like any people at all actually, like around me and the kids, that maybe it's like too much. And like I'm overprotective because I work from home and we homeschool, or like, well, they're in school in a program here, and like we do homeschool type things. And like we go places, but we don't go places every day. Like we don't go to the store all the time anymore because there's been so many ridiculous things going on. We don't like it, we're really, really careful. We're just really careful. So when it comes to this virus, I'm going to be just as careful, but I'm also going to try to like not overdo it, because I also am still just trying to like live normally. Now, I don't know what's really happening, except for the fact that we're being told certain things. And all that we can really do is go off of what we are being told. We're being told this, basically. There was a cruise ship, a very expensive cruise ship, because this was some sort of like expedition type cruise. I mean, they went down to Antarctica. They're way down at the bottom. Okay. They're going to all these remote places, watching for birds and seeing beautiful waterfall places with rainbows and like all these things. It's like an expedition type cruise, very expensive. And from what I'm understanding, like a 30 to 35 day cruise. Well, they're trying to say that this virus came from this elderly couple that visited some sort of like dump site, garbage fill place down where they were visiting, down by Argentina or like in Argentina, around that area down there, because that's where like this virus is like the Hantavirus, but the form that is human to human transmission, which is what they've already verified this is the Andes virus. That's the strain of the Hantavirus or whatever. So while people are saying Hantavirus can't be transmitted from humans to humans without like all these special circumstances, that's not the case for what's happening here, because we're having people that were just escorting people places that are now sick with it too. So it is definitely more of what they've already said, which is the Andes virus. Now, I do find it really interesting that this is all happening at around the exact same time of year as COVID did when COVID happened. It was around this exact same time, because if you go back to the dateline for the ship, they boarded like in the end of March. And it was like 2 weeks later, I believe, that the 70-year-old man died. But it still wasn't until like a week and a half or so after he died that we started even hearing things. Now, this has really only been hitting the news for like, today's May 8th. It's probably only really been hitting the news for like maybe 5 days. Maybe like 5-6 days at the most. And we're hearing that that man died like mid-April. And that his dead body was on the boat for like almost 2 weeks before it even docked in order to let him off. And that's when everything sort of went crazy. Like the body got released. His wife went with the body. And then after she was on this commercial flight for hours around all of these people, she passes out in the airport and dies the next day. At this point, they still don't know that it's the virus. They haven't even bothered to test for this. So then somebody else apparently gets sick, gets sent to the same place. I want to say Johannesburg, but don't like verbatim me on that. And that's when they test and they find out that it's this virus. The problem with that now is that even though no one told us a word until less than a week ago when people started talking about this, there's been people from all over the country that got off of that boat and have been home without even knowing anything for like a good 2 weeks before the news even started spreading around to where people were talking about it. And there's people here in Texas that are part of that little group. Now, I don't know exactly where. A lot of people are saying like Woodlands, which if you're here for my true crime channel, that's where Othram Labs is. It's right outside of Houston. That's not very far from us. Far enough, but not very far for comfort. I'll say that. Lots of other states, Virginia, California, Georgia. And apparently one of the like main cases from COVID that a lot of people have screenshots in their phones of was Georgia. The start of that too. Now, what's really crazy is this guy that's been basically just sort of like cruise ship hopping since around COVID. Like if you go to his profile, which let's go to TikTok. We're going to get off Twitter for this one and we're going to go to TikTok. Which, by the way, I did buy that tier foundation that's been going kind of crazy on TikTok. I bought the small one because I don't want to pay almost $20 for something I might not like. So I bought this one for $11.99. And when I tell you that it was like basically empty, like this piece right in here is a sponge. It's not actual like makeup. And if you take the sponge out, like I'm going to have to try to cover up the mirror so it doesn't blind y'all. But like, that's the amount of makeup that's in there. It's like literally like a dollop that's been sort of like spread around. Just liquid at the very, very bottom. See that? For $12 freaking dollars. Now, I will say that you barely have to use any in order for it to like actually look like you have makeup on. And I don't really have any complaints about like the way that it looks. I do feel that like it does have different like decent coverage. I really do. But it's literally like a dollop of Daisy. Half a dollop of Daisy, okay? Like that's crazy, but I'm just like letting you guys know. And then I know that on my true crime channel y'all always like make comments about my eyeshadow. This is just something from Amazon. It's from a brand called You Can Be, and they have a whole bunch of different like palettes, different colors. I know this is like really bright because of the light, but like, yeah, they have a whole bunch of different ones. They have like gothic style ones, more neutral style ones. I've had this for like a year and a half now, and it's really potent, like really dyed, I guess is like the way that you would say it. I don't know. Anyway, this guy right here, his name is Jake Rosemarin or whatever. Let's go look at his profile first because his profile creeps me out. As a matter of fact, this and the other person that's now talking, it's really, really strange because one of these guys has like over like 18 million followers or 8 million followers, like somewhere around that level of like followers on freaking YouTube. And then another account has like 440,000 followers on I think like Instagram. And then we've got this guy. Okay. Now, if you go back down here to where it looks like he's like on the boat, like on a boat first, it's like 2021. But this is like what he does. Like I think it's in one of the pinned videos maybe, but I went back to like look and see like what this guy was all about. I think maybe
okay,
it's
well, since you asked, I asked.
10/30/2021. Okay, he's on a boat. He's talking about being on a cruise ship right here. And like it seems like this is just what he does. And this is again a 30 to 35 day cruise. The cheapest ticket is like 20 grand, close to 20 grand to be on this boat. So I don't know what this guy does, but apparently he's also got some sort of like affiliation with the company, which no one has really mentioned before. That's like stuff that's being dug up because a lot of people are like, who the frick is this guy making these videos from the boat? He's the only one making these videos from the boat. And he's like crying and emotional, or at least he wants you to like feel like that's what's happening. But if you look at his eyeballs, he is reading something off of a screen. Now, I don't know if that's like just okay to people to be just whatever, but there's there's a lot going on here. Like he literally, like this is the video right here. We'll watch it here in a second. But he has like the video of them leaving right here. We're going to watch this while I put my eyeshadow on.
Happy Embarkation Day. Right behind me is Oceanwide Expeditions MV Hondius, where I will be embarking on an epic 35-day voyage up the Atlantic Ocean.
Inside my home for the next 35 days.
In the world. So come along with me on a ship tour. Okay, let's board.
Actually, you know what? I just realized that because of like the music, I'm probably not going to be able to like play any of the audio. So I'm just going to like mute it now while it's playing and I'll just talk over it. Cause whatever. Now, again, I don't know like what this guy's like thing is, but there are like a couple other people, but this is a very strange like boat. Like people think cruise and they're like, okay, but where's the pool? Where's like the amenities? Like how come you don't really see it looking like that kind of cruise? Well, because it seems like it wasn't that kind of cruise. It was more of like an expedition style explorer type cruise for like a group of people that actually like to go out there, get off the ship, go on like hiking expeditions into like, you know, remote places where there's again, like waterfalls and different things like that. That's what it seems more of like what the intentions were for this, which makes it just, you know, okay. But like what now? Look at what's happening. Like, look at what's happening. So this is the room that he apparently like is staying in, but like there's nothing in his room. Like he hasn't even brought his luggage or anything in there. It's just very, very empty. None of his stuff is put up and he's claiming that this is his room. So that's strange. Unless maybe that wasn't on the floor right there. And maybe he just decided like last minute. But again, people have found like affiliations with him in this company. I've watched a couple videos of people talking about it. But yeah, he just basically like walks around the whole ship and like shows you just like what it looks like on the inside. I'll just kind of skip through this stuff. And then we're going to watch, because I haven't watched it in full. Like, I started watching his video where he's like talking about how they're human and all this other stuff and reading off a screen, which like I understand that, like, duh, okay. But I haven't watched like the whole thing because it just like, I don't know, it was just so odd. So this is him like taking off, and then like this is everything that they've done and seen. Days 2 and 3, day 4. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, this looks freaking amazing. And like, isn't this like the Antarctic wall? If they're getting to Antarctica, it's like an iceberg. That's cool. That'd be so surreal to see like in real life, for real. And that was true. Like, you only get to see like really 10% of what's actually happening whenever you're looking at an iceberg. Like, look how freaking cool. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like this looks amazing. If I had money to go on some sort of like expedition like this and didn't have like little kids to worry about, you know, I would totally do stuff like this. Let's see. Okay, this one was crazy right here. Okay, so this was the first one from 5 days ago. For those who have seen recent news, yes, I am currently aboard this MV Hondius. Out of respect for those involved in the situation, I won't be making any public comments at this time. I kindly ask that the media inquiries are directed elsewhere for now. Thank you for understanding. But then he posts like this video. So let's listen to this one.
But I normally wouldn't make a video like this, but I feel like I need to say something, so I wrote a few things down. I am currently on board the MV Hondius, and what's happening right now is very real for all of us here.
He does look scared.
We're not just a story. We're not just headlines. We're people. People with families, with lives, with people waiting for us at home.
But see, my problem with that is that you're basically saying that you're willing to kill those people. You're basically saying that you're willing, because you don't want to sit on that ship, because you don't want to quarantine, because you don't like what's being said out here. You're willing to risk the lives of the people that you're sitting there blubbering over. Does that make sense? As harsh as that sounds, that's what's happening.
There's a lot of uncertainty, and that's the hardest part. All we want right now is to feel safe, to have clarity, and to get home. So if you're seeing coverage about this, just remember that there are real people behind it, and that this isn't something happening somewhere far away.
Yes, it is.
It's happening to us.
It needs to be far
right
away.
now.
Should have stayed far away.
I'll share more when I can, but for now, I just ask for your kindness and understanding. Thank you.
And see, like, to me, again, that's pointless. Like, you're telling me that because you don't like the fact that you have to be on this ship because there's crazy shit going on, you're willing to risk the lives of the people that you claim that you want to be around, that you miss, that you're crying over. You're willing to risk their lives for selfishness. So again, I don't know like what the agenda is with this entire thing. I have no freaking idea. But it's really crazy that these things have been going on for like a while, and now all of a sudden we're getting a crazy virus situation after I saw something really interesting about a lab that was broken into not long ago, and a virus strain was broken, like stolen. Several of them were stolen. On December 5th, 2024, Queensland Health commissioned an independent health service investigation under Part 9 of the Hospital and Health Board Act of 2011 into historical record-keeping breaches at its public health virology lab. On the 3rd of September 2025, Queensland Health released the findings and recommendations of the investigation. The investigation found the samples of the Hantavirus, Lysavirus, and Hantavirus were unlikely to have been lost or stolen, but were unaccounted for because of poor record keeping. That's what they're going to try to blame that on. It also found there was no risk or harm caused to staff or the broader community because of the breach. So then where are they? Because as far as everything is that's come from this little situation, they've never been found. They've never been found. So how are you going to sit here and you're going to say, oh, they're missing because the record keeping is bad. They're missing because somebody doesn't know how to do their job correctly. They were discovered missing in August 2023. And at the end of the investigation in 2024, they're still not accounted for. It says it's most likely that the samples were destroyed by autoclaving, as is routine laboratory practice, and not adequately recorded, and very unlikely that samples were discarded in general waste, as this would be completely outside routine laboratory practice. And also you're claiming unlikely they were stolen. That's because you don't want to have the liability. That's my opinion on that statement, because again, you're guessing. You have no proof of this. You just can't prove otherwise. So you're going with the least liable answer. I mean, I could be wrong. Let me know in the comments what y'all think. Now, I'm not going to play this video, but I want to put this piece in here since it did pop up as I was scrolling, because it was a thought that I've had over the past few days. There's been a lot of talk lately about like Post Malone, Jelly Roll, a couple other artists that are all of a sudden canceling their tours. And a lot of people having these discussions over on TikTok are saying that it's because that the concert ticket prices are so high that no one can afford them. So they can't sell out the seats anymore. It's not becoming a profit for them because the ticket sales just aren't working. And I honestly just don't believe that. I don't believe that one freaking bit. People are still going out and doing whatever the hell they want to do, even in the economy. With everything being as expensive as it is, with gas prices as it is, people are still going out and doing what they want to do. They're still going out and drinking on the weekend. They're still going to those concerts. They're still going on those shopping trips. They're still going on those vacations. Let's be serious. People are still living their lives. We're just at the point now to where we're like, who gives a shit? We're all going to die anyway. Nothing ever changes. We're lied to constantly. I'm just going to do what I want to do. So that's what people are doing. I don't think that's it. I think that it's the virus. And it could be a mix of the virus and what's going on with the UFO disclosure. I don't know. But I think that these artists and the people that are in control of these artists in way of the companies and the money and the people that control the money and all those things, I think that they probably got a heads up on something the way that these preachers got a heads up on something. I'll just put this little clip here.
A large number of pastors that had been invited to go to a certain state to hear some men in the United States government and others share with them a concern. He said, Perry, what they're about to release, from what we're hearing, there's going to be a release concerning aliens and concerning unidentified flying object spacecraft, that some of the people who were in the meeting were telling us as pastors, you need to prepare your people and you need to get ready to answer them. And some of it has to do with crafts that have been discovered that are not allegedly a part of our planet, and the materials they're made of are not a part of our planet. Very strange reptilian-looking creatures.
And I think that they're canceling tours because they don't want to be responsible for something spreading, or there's going to be something coming around those times that's going to happen that maybe other people know about. And so they're trying to be like super cautious and not have it to where they've got like stadiums full of people. I mean, like, I don't know. But I honestly do not believe that it has anything at all to do with ticket prices. People are still living their lives. Look, I'm a single parent. I have like hours and hours and hours and hours and hours out of my day that I cannot do anything but make money. I have to work. I don't have a choice. I have to do things. I have to research. I have to do my job. I have to work my side hustles. I have to work. And I'm still, even though I'm having to work more in order to make sure that it happens, we're still spending all kinds of money on bullshit that we shouldn't be spending money on, because I'm not going to take experiences and fun things away from my kids. So we're still going to the certain places and spending the money at those places. We're still going and having those experiences. I'm still ordering from that restaurant. I'm still going to have our favorite dessert on a Friday night rush delivered for an extra $10 fee because it's Friday night and this is the time that I spend time with them in the living room watching TV and watching movies and junk fooding out and playing video games. Damn straight I'm going to spend an extra $10 to get it here in less than an hour. That's what you do. That's just what you do. It's what you do. So, just my personal opinion. I don't really think that it has anything to do with money. I think with everything that's happening right now with these scientists that have gone missing, those are some crazy stories. I actually don't know where I should talk about that stuff because like I really want this channel to be more of like a me channel to where I can do like cooking videos, but I can also talk about aliens, you know. But like these people are missing, and missing people are talked about on the crime channel. But it's also very conspiratorial, which is probably more like something for this channel. I don't know. It's kind of like the same situation when it comes to Epstein and not being able to just like, in my opinion, because I've already seen certain things happen and I've already had a channel completely deleted off of like existence from YouTube for talking normal shit before. My Logical Oddity channel, poofed, was taken away completely for something that I didn't even say. It was literally a clip that I posted that millions of other people had too, including news places. But that got my channel completely deleted. That was a whole thing. So I don't want to risk my big true crime channel because it's been, you know, over 3 years and I've worked my ass off and I'm almost at 60,000 subscribers and we've put a lot of work into truth on that channel. And it'd be really, really a freaking shame if we started talking about the freaking island case over there, you know? And then YouTube try to take that away with all the truth that goes away with it, because the Idaho case is nothing but a bunch of bullshit. And there's a lot of work in that case on that channel. But I still like, I don't know if I want to talk about cooking sushi and taking my kids to places and then also have stuff about the Epstein stuff over here on this channel. It's very hard to decide what to do with certain things. But I'll figure it out eventually. I'll just say this, though. Now, since the scientists are all very related to, like, the things that are currently happening right now in way of, like, alien disclosure, government secret type stuff. Like, all of these people had, like, credentials that were really important. And not to say that, like, every single one of them is like a conspiracy, because people do go missing, people do die, like crazy shit does happen. But for all of these comparisons to be happening with these cases and it to be like happening the way that it's happening, like I think the last number that I saw was like we're either at 13 or 15. And these are all different ages, men and women, different branches, different kinds of things that they worked on. And it seems like the common denominator is a lot of their phones are like factory reset and turned off when they like are found. They're leaving like their wallets, purses, phones, keys, anything like that, like in their residence and like just vanishing. Some of them are being caught on camera going about their like daily life. Another one was just supposedly at home while his wife was at the doctor and just like disappears. Some of them had been reporting that they were having like mind fog and like memory issues. One of them was claiming that I think that her hands were being targeted by some sort of like energy weapon, something like that. And there was like a bunch of barricades and stuff that she put. Now I'm seeing a bunch of scientists in a lot of fields on TikTok put videos up saying that they're not thinking about deleting anytime soon and they need to make sure that people know that. Well, I mean, it's pathetically sad that people have to do that these days, but at the end of the day, does it do any good? I mean, don't stop. Like, if you feel like you have to put that warning out, by means, please freaking do, and do it a million times if you feel the need to. But we have those warnings, and then the people die. And then no one listens to what they said, and it's just considered a self-deletion, and the case gets closed and nothing happens, and no one listens. So we have these very important and very intelligent people that have worked on a lot of very classified, very important things, all of a sudden vanishing without a trace. Did I also mention that one of them was on a hiking trip with like 2 other friends, and one of them had walked ahead and the other one was barely ahead of her, and they turned around and they looked at her and she was back there and she waved and she smiled and she was only like maybe 30 feet behind her on the trail, and then the next time she turned around she was gone. Like, there was no noises, she didn't scream like someone like grabbed her, like there was nothing. I think, and don't verbatim me on this part, but I'm pretty sure they said that they only found like a hat or something that belonged to her, and it wasn't anywhere near like where she had been walking right behind her friend. You know, I've also mentioned, because I've done a couple videos here on this channel, but again, there's so much that we're deep diving on my true crime channel. It's really hard to keep up with like all of the deaths here recently. And I say recently, like since like October, November, December of last year, of all of these celebrities, and not just celebrities, but like influencers. And, you know, Charlie Kirk was one of those influencers who apparently, you know, couldn't be bought, wouldn't take a paycheck to have an opinion that he didn't actually truly believe in, is the basis of what I'm understanding from all of the stuff about the meetings that apparently took place over the summertime or whatever it was that was being talked about, where a bunch of influencers got together and were like summoned to this place and offered a check for a narrative and all that bullshit. Okay. There's a lot of influencers, a lot of people with a big following that are self-deleting, that are having car accidents where they aren't making it out alive, like Anne Heche. There's a lot of stuff that's been going on since late last year. And it's been like pretty constant and in big groups of stuff. Now, as of today, this morning over on Twitter, I saw Randy Quaid, who is an actor, put a post up claiming that he has been getting information that Mark Hamill from Star Wars has just been diagnosed with something terminal. Now, there's also the guy that played on Full House, not Uncle Jesse, but the blonde guy. Sorry, I don't remember his name. The blonde uncle. I think that he is I think he just recently announced something too. And there's just been a lot. So then when you consider like the alien disclosure stuff that's going on and all these deaths all of a sudden, and how they're talking about how aliens have been walking around us and that there's hybrid alien humans and like all these other things. I mean, look, if y'all have not bothered ever to look at like the Anunnaki stuff, the Sumerian tablet stuff, I would just encourage you to maybe dip a little. And I only say that because these scrolls are older than the Bible scrolls. They're older than the material that was found and what created the Bible. They're older than the Bible stories, older than the scrolls. And if you want to be really for real, the Book of Enoch and a lot of the things in the Book of Enoch that were removed very much mimics a lot of the things that are in the Anunnaki stories. So much so, and I've mentioned this before, so much so that I have a folder on my old computer. I haven't opened it in a while, but maybe I should soon here. But I've had a folder on there called Inky versus Jesus for as long as my youngest son has been alive. I've been looking into this for almost 10 years now. When I tell you that the Anunnaki story has a Jesus, has a flood, has a Noah character, has a Lucifer character, you know, the fallen sun, all those things. All of those things. The mixing of the Anunnaki bloodline with the human race that was created as a slave race. There's stories like that in the Bible. Like people take when I say that I'm not religious, for ignorance, for being uneducated in the subject. And I would say that couldn't be farther from the truth. Me and my ex used to dig into this stuff a lot because, you know, we were just really trying to like figure out what answers could be. And it's just something that I never really stopped. Like I just always done it by myself a couple times a week. I'll still look stuff up because I'm still so curious and still learning. And I know now that with this alien stuff coming out and a lot of these images being very much like a biblical version of an angel, I think it is very important to go back and maybe study something that's older than those stories to see if maybe there's a better origin that makes more sense than something that could be 1,000 levels above humanity. Because see, that's another thing. I don't really think that if there is some sort of almighty everything, that it's technically what put us here. I think that's probably why I lean so much more on the Anunnaki theory, because it makes more sense as to why the humans are on this planet and how we were created. They say that we are created in God's image, but what if we're just created in our creator's image, and that's a million levels below whatever God might actually be if it is there? I'm just saying that I think that something more on our side of things probably created this, but that they were just so far advanced because they were such an older civilization. And if you dig into the Anunnaki information, you'll see that all those thousands of years ago, the information that was shared between the Anunnaki and the beings that were here, they were able to depict almost to scale our solar system before we ever even knew that anything out there even existed. There's just so much other things out there to look at. You have to take into consideration everything. You can't just believe one narrative and trust it completely. You have to go in and you have to look at everything. You have to decide for yourself. And I think that's even more important now than it ever has been because of what the government is now wanting to release. If they're telling pastors to get your people ready, because there's going to be a lot of questions and there's going to be a lot of things that you guys are going to need to be prepared for. So get your people ready. Is the virus a cover-up for something else? A lot of people that are more on the religious side are wondering if they're going to try to use the virus as some sort of cover-up for a rapture. You remember how they had a fake rapture a while back? That was embarrassing. But I don't know. I just know that these are my thoughts. These are my thoughts on what's going on in the world right now. Because the past 6 months, but holy damn, apparently, for sure, the last week. The last week has been a wild ass ride. A wild ass ride. And a lot of people really don't want to like pay attention and they don't want to freak out, but you have to at least know what's going on around you. And I used to really deep dive into all of it. Like what's going on politically, what's going on this side, what's the argument over on this side. I don't really care about any of that anymore. I only care about the effect of all of it and learning how to survive the effect of all of it, because that's really all that you can do at this point. Because nothing is going to change no matter what you feel about it, no matter how jacked up the people that are living out here know things are, no matter how much we complain about it on the internet, no matter how much we try to hope that something is going to change, it's not going to change. Like it's literally never going to change. The only thing that's going to ever be is whatever works for them the best. We're just a product. We've always been just a product. They don't care what's best for us. Why do you think the food here is like poison compared to other countries? Why do you think that our food here looks so much different? Why do you think our products that are supposed to be the same, like our sodas, our chips, our stuff like basics like that, why do you think that people go to other countries and they like freak out about how stuff looks because it looks more natural and it doesn't taste like chemicals? Why do you think people can literally not even change their diets, go to other countries and still eat the same? Still eat the same, still want their chips and eat their cookies and have their popcorn, and eat their snacks and eat their candies. But because it's healthier and it's not full of bullshit, they actually start losing weight, even though they're eating the same. People from other countries that come over here and start eating our food, a lot of times end up with medical issues. You're a product. Don't believe everything they tell you. Listen, absorb, observe, pay attention, but don't believe everything they tell you. Don't believe anything anyone says to you.